Presentation, we will be going into the virtue of justice, the second in the series on the cardinal virtues. By way of a reminder, our definition of virtue is a firm, habitual disposition to achieve our ultimate good, that is God. And by habitual and firm, we mean lasting, solid, stable, something that's kind of always there, even when we're not using it. A disposition is a power, the capacity or the ability to do something. Not that we're always doing it, but that it is there. It is that capacity that's built up in us. And finally, virtue is always directed towards the good, specifically a good action. If it were evil, then it would be vice. And so we look at justice in general. So justice is, it's often called fairness. Fairness is not equality. Fairness is what is right or just or due to a particular person. And it's possible that what is due to one person is not due to another. That's why it's fair to actually treat people differently, because they should be treated differently. People are different. And so it depends upon the circumstances. But justice in general is the virtue of giving each, God and mankind, his due, whatever is due to them, whatever is due by right to them. All right. And that can be positive or negative. So we need to kind of remove ourselves from the criminal and the civil justice system and think that whatever is due to them is their punishment. It's not always negative. What is due to someone is positive. The wages for work is a positive thing. How much I get paid. Do I get paid appropriately for what I do? Getting paid is a positive thing, and that's just. So the virtue of giving each, that is God and man, his due. You might say, as we said before, that prudence kind of directs all the other virtues, that justice is prudence with regard to God and neighbor, meaning it's virtue in relationship. It's right reason in action with regard to our relationship to God and our relationship to those around us. What does my life have to do with others? We have to remember that the perfection of man, and that's what virtues are. Virtues are the perfection of man. Well, man is a communal being. It's very clear, practically speaking. If you just look around you, we are communal beings, and that's not just accidental. We came into this world in a community. Two people brought us into this world. And so man is created to be relational. We see that in Revelation, in sacred scripture, Genesis 1 and 2, that God created us to be relational. And we see it practically played out when a mother and a father are absolutely required to bring another human being into this world. It takes a relationship, a community to even give us existence. And so we come into this world as communal beings. Not to mention that the greatest commandment that Jesus Christ gave to us is love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. And that doesn't mean that it's less important. In fact, he goes on to reveal to us that you actually can't love God without loving your neighbor. It's not possible. All right. And if you think you can, you're lying. All right. So we are called that in our very relationship with God to love our neighbor. We are relational beings. And so we need to be perfected in our relationship with others. And so we have the virtue of justice. Now, unlike prudence, there's no real actions involved as far as like the series of actions like good counsel and all the way up through command. There's not like a stage or process of becoming just, but there are a lot of daughter virtues that govern our relationships. And so I want to very quickly go through those important daughter virtues. So one of them is affability. That's being easy to approach or to talk to. It's amazing how many people nowadays, it's just so awkward to talk to them because they don't want to be approached. They want to maintain this isolation, so they're not affable. Courtesy is showing deference for someone's feelings. In our culture, we have a tendency to not care what other people think or feel. I know I say this often. That's mostly just a rhetoric that I use so that people will stop sharing their feelings. But the last thing that I want to do is to harm or to hurt or someone else. And so I show deference for their feelings by being courteous. Generosity. We must give of ourselves willingly and cheerfully. Gratitude, being thankful for things. This is something that I see that has been cast by the wayside in our current culture. People are not very thankful for what they have been given. They just assume that they should be able to have a right to anything that they want. And then when they finally get it, they're not thankful. Kindness, having a genuine concern about the well being of others. In fact, I think a lot of people would rather just um, step over someone else on the ground to get what they want, as opposed to having a genuine concern about how people feel, how well they're doing. So, kindness is that ability to be concerned about the well being of others. Loyalty. We have we have relationships all around us: mother, father, brother, sister, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, coaches, and those bonds, um, to accept them implicitly, to just to accept them and to recognize them as good, is loyalty, right? And that stems off and is connected to so many other virtues that we can demonstrate. Um, Obedience, which is the next one, respect, but being loyal, accepting those bonds of relationships that are in our lives, goes a lot towards fostering friendship, towards fostering love. And obedience, assenting to rightful authority. In those relationships, there's always a sense. We have lots of relationships of equality, friendships and acquaintances, work relationships, but there's plenty of relationships in which there is a hierarchy. There is someone who has rightful authority over us. And being obedient is a perfection of man, because if we can't be obedient to these basic relationships, how can we be obedient to God, who we cannot see, who we understand revealed himself in faith to us? A few more virtues: patriotism, giving due honor and respect to our country. This is the country in which we were, for a lot of us, in which we were born. And giving respect and honor to that country is goes along with loyalty, goes along with obedience. Prayerfulness, being able to listen to God as creator and friend. Prayerfulness is prayer is conversation, it's communication, and that communication is common union, to have something in union together. And so it's a form of communication. It's a form of relationship with another person. That's why prayerfulness is reckoned to the virtue of justice. So it's that ability to listen to God as creator and friend. Respect. Respect is speaking and acting according to one's own rights and status. That's respecting yourself. As a teacher, I should speak appropriately and act appropriately as a teacher. It's my right and my status to do that. But at the same time, I need to speak and act according to others. I can't just go around spouting off what I think and feel and believe at all times. I'm a teacher that is required to teach certain things. I'm a teacher at a given institution that expects certain things of me. And so I must give respect to those things, which may actually put a damper on what I can say or do. And the students in front of me, when I speak and teach and when I act in front of them, I have to act in accord with them. I have to be respectful of them. I have to understand what is their rights, what is their status, and speak and act in accord with that as well. So not only do I get to speak and act according to my own rights and status, but I also need to take into account the rights and the status of others in in my speech and action. Responsibility: if we have just duties or things that are required of us, we should fulfill them. Sincerity is trustfulness in words and actions, that when we speak, people know that it's true and that it will be done. That's sincerity. And then finally, trustworthiness, being reliable, knowing that when I go to someone and need help from them, I can count on them. that they can rely upon me. So finally, once again, making that kind of connection between the acquired virtue of justice and the infused virtue of justice. Acquired justice, which is acquired through human effort, uses our sound natural reason to judge what is reasonable in a situation with regard to others, how it will affect others and God, and then acting upon it. Whereas infused justice uses reason, perfected by faith, to judge what is in accord with the love of God and the love of neighbor, and act upon it.